After the release of Witcher 4 cinematic trailer, CDPR went and talked with various creators and news outlets, revealing even more new information about the game. I went through all of them and compiled a list of 22 new facts and tidbits about The Witcher 4. So without wasting any time, let us begin with number 1. Geralt is in Witcher 4 and Doug is returning as his voice. After countless speculation and constant back and forth, it is good to have 100% confirmation that Geralt will be in the game. As for what his role will be is still up for speculation. Maybe he will come in clutch at a critical moment in the story, or maybe he is enjoying his retirement and he will be the final boss at a Gwent tournament. More on that later. Number 2. Although the trailer is an in-engine pre-render, CDPR used in-game assets to create it. So CDPR said that the trailer closely resembles what they are aiming for the final game to look and feel like. Their goal is to make cutscenes look as close to the trailer as possible. That to me is absolutely insane. But since the game is still a couple of years away and the trailer was run on an unannounced Nvidia GPU, we can certainly expect the game to have all the latest bells and whistles to make it look amazing. If the game does end up looking close to the cinematic trailer, it would be a dream come true for any Witcher fan. On number 3, we have Ciri being the protagonist was decided 9 years ago. This was around the time when Witcher 3 released. It appears that the discussion for what is next and which character they should focus on already began around that time, and the answer they reached even back then was Ciri. CD Projekt also says that choosing Ciri wasn't some random choice, but the most natural answer to what's next for their franchise. She was already playable in some portions of Witcher 3, so CDPR says that going with Ciri gives them the opportunity to not only give that storyline a continuation, but also show the world of The Witcher a few years later with the sentiment of what they had already done in Witcher 3. Number 4. The story of Witcher 4 picks up a few years after Blood and Wine DLC, which means that it is not much after Geralt retires into Sound. However, there is definitely something to think about here because Witcher 3 didn't have a single ending. It had multiple endings and CDPR will sort of need to work all of them off to continue their story. One issue with this could be, who did Geralt end up into Sound with? Was it Triss or Yennefer? Or which ending of the main game did you reach? Did Ciri become the Empress? Did she go with Geralt? Or did she fight the White Frost? There are just too many variables at play, and it will certainly be interesting to see how CDPR manages their way around it. Number 5. Ciri has magic powers, and this change will reflect in gameplay. Magic in the Witcher world is described in the books in vivid detail. The magic that Ciri, Yennefer and other mages use is very different from Witcher signs that Geralt uses. In the books, signs like Ard, Gwen, Igni are considered to be low-level magic that Witchers perform. However, Ciri has magic powers which are way more powerful and can do things way beyond Witcher signs. Having magic as a utility will add a lot more variety and options from a gameplay perspective. And speaking of utility, point number 6, the chain shown in the cinematic trailer isn't just for the trailer or just a callback to Witcher 1. The chain will be included in the gameplay and it will be a utility tool that we will be able to use in real time during gameplay. The chain will probably serve the purpose of binding monsters, making them unable to move for a certain amount of time, and judging by the trailer, we will probably be able to enchant the chains with various elements like fire or electricity depending on the monster we are fighting and its weaknesses. This makes me very excited because it adds more layers to the gameplay. Point number 7, the cinematic trailer that we saw actually is a portion of a story from a side quest which will exist in the final game. This trailer wasn't just some random story they made for the sake of the trailer. It came straight from the game, and when we finally get to play it, we will be able to make different choices which might change the outcome of this storyline. We also have confirmation that we will be able to save the girl from the cinematic trailer and change her fate in the final game. Point number 8. Ciri is a witcher, but an inexperienced one. As a witcher, don't expect her to be as good or experienced as Geralt. Witcher 4 is only the first part of more Witcher games that are yet to come. And Witcher 4 specifically is the game about Ciri learning what it means to be a witcher. The story will focus on Ciri's journey of becoming a witcher and challenges she has to go through while she is on the path. Ciri's witcher life will be about her fears, her destiny, and her journey of becoming a witcher and its implications on her morals and on her life. Geralt as a witcher had his codex, which was to try and be neutral. Ciri doesn't have her codex yet since her journey is just starting. Point number 9. Map size is not so different in Witcher 4, which might sound disappointing to some people, but don't worry because the game is more expansive. What they mean by this is that instead of simply making a bigger map, which will take you longer to travel from one end to another, what they are focusing on instead is to fill a smaller sized map with more story-driven content, more interactions, and build a world which is more reactive to player choices. All these things combined might not result in a bigger map on paper, but it will definitely result in a game which will take longer to beat. The focus here is on the quality rather than quantity. Point number 10. CD Projekt said that Ciri apparently chooses to become a witcher of her own free will. The circumstances of why she does it is obviously still a secret and they won't reveal it because that would be spoilers. However, CDPR did mention that this moment of choice where she is choosing to become a witcher is a turning point in her life, to form her own codex and to understand what the witcher path means for her is an important part of the game. CD Projekt also says that this gives them a lot of freedom from not just the gameplay perspective but also from her personality perspective, because Ciri is probably the first witcher who is making the choice to become one. For those who don't know, to make witchers, children are usually taken away and turned into witchers by force. So Ciri is likely the first witcher who went through the trials by her own choice. Point number 11. Ciri and Geralt are very different, and that will be reflected in the gameplay. Ciri will also have a different approach to hunting monsters as compared to Geralt because she is not as experienced as Geralt. She is younger and faster, while Geralt is stronger. Ciri has more tools at her disposal, such as her magic powers. Geralt, on the other hand, has more knowledge and is wiser when it comes to fighting monsters. All these things will reflect in gameplay, and the way Ciri approaches monster hunting will reflect all of these differences. And with that, we have reached halfway point of the video. We have 11 more points to go through, but before we continue, let me ask you to subscribe and hit the like button. It will really help out the channel, and as I put out more Witcher videos, you will be notified whenever I make the next upload. Thank you, and let us continue to point number 12. Many things at CD Projekt Studio has changed in terms of development. This is done to avoid another messy launch like Cyberpunk. Earlier, as in when Cyberpunk was being worked on, the way development worked at the studio was, for a lack of a better word, inefficient. Without going into too much detail, earlier there was a disconnect between various teams at the studio, and now they have formed a better development process which streamlines their development and makes sure that the development goes ahead full speed with minimal unexpected difficulties. This not only means that the game will be polished when it releases, but also that developers will not have to go through crunch during the development period. CDPR mentioned that so much has changed, not only production-wise, but also process-wise and the overall culture in the studio. The staff now are more mindful and empowered, and at the same time, they have a spark of accountability. CD Projekt says that they want to be, in a positive sense, critical of where they are in the current moment, so that they can make most educated call to be able to stop, rethink, reschedule, and then move forward in development. This new process builds a super sense of security and control in the entire team. Some of these lessons were already applied to the release of Phantom Liberty DLC for Cyberpunk, such as starting the marketing campaign much later in the development of the DLC and closer to its release. Point number 13. As I mentioned earlier, the story of Witcher 4 picks up few years after Blood and Wine. Although CDPR didn't give us a specific number, however, they did mention something interesting. CDPR said they will be considering the multiple different endings for Witcher 3 and kind of work their way through in such a way that all of them works. As an example, what CDPR said was that in one ending where Ciri faces the White Frost, it is alluded that Ciri doesn't survive. But if you look for clues and go Easter egg hunting, you will find a painting in Velen which will hint at the fact that Ciri did indeed survive. Point number 14. CD Projekt wants us, the players, to experience what it means to be a Witcher. Through Ciri's personal journey on the path, they want us to not just be companions of Ciri's journey, but rather experience what it means to be a Witcher through her lens. The journey and experience that Ciri will go through, the players will go through as well, and it is going to be a major part of the storyline. Point number 15. Ciri's Witcher Medallion. Some people thought it is a reworked version of the Wolf School, and some thought it is the Cat School Medallion, but it is neither of those two things. Ciri's Medallion is confirmed to be the Lynx School Medallion. CD Projekt obviously don't want to spoil us, so they didn't talk much about it, but they did mention that it is a pretty important part of Witcher 4. Also, while I was working on this video, CD Projekt announced that we can pre-order the Lynx Medallion from their store. Currently, the Lynx Medallion is on pre-order and it will start shipping in April 2025. Point number 16. For all my card enthusiasts, Gwent is confirmed. I am a huge fan of Gwent and I have spent countless hours collecting all the cards in Witcher 3. And I am not the only one. You love Gwent, I love Gwent, and even the developers love Gwent. So they had to bring it back. CDPR promised that Gwent players won't be disappointed and it is part of the Witcher 4 experience. Which does make me think, Geralt might be the final boss of the Gwent storyline. It would be insanely cool to see Geralt enjoying his retirement playing Gwent in Toussaint. Point number 17. For the fans who didn't read the books, CDPR explained a bit about Ciri's magic powers. This won't be new to the book readers, but just for the gamers out there, I'll explain in short how Ciri's magic power works. So in the books, Ciri is something called a source. A source in the Witcher universe is extremely rare and is referred to some exceptional people who has magic powers which are so powerful that they are not only difficult to control, but usually these powers leads to the person, the source, going completely mad with mental illness. Being a source is different from being a sorceress or a mage. In Witcher 4, Ciri being a source is going to be touched upon. The way she turned water into electricity in the cinematic trailer has part to do with her being the source. Point number 18. CD Projekt mentioned that they are going to respect the canon from the books and their previous games. This, to me, honestly, is a very broad statement, because no matter what, I don't think the canon from the books can be 100% respected. But this is not necessarily a bad thing. The Witcher 3 and the other two Witcher games go against the canon of the books in many ways. If I were to list all the differences of breaking of the canon in the previous games, comparing them to the books, honestly that video can itself go on for like an hour. The previous Witcher games were fantastic. CD Projekt achieved this not because they were 100% sticking to the canon of the books. They achieved this because they made good games. So, in my opinion, as long as the writing is good and the intent is right, canon or not canon will not matter as much in the end. We just want to play games which are fun to play and are worth our money. Point number 19. So Geralt is going to be in the game, but he is not the only returning character. CD Projekt teased that there might be some other characters too, apart from Geralt, who might make an appearance in the game. As a hint for who this other character might be, CD Projekt said that seasoned players will love it. My guess for this returning character would be Geralt from Witcher 2. He was a beloved character and he originally had a much bigger role to play in Witcher 3. But by the end of the development, majority of his quests were removed so he will likely make a reappearance. Apart from him, there are many other characters though, which seasoned players would love to see again, such as Letho, Regis, Roche, Kira Metz maybe, and more. Point number 20. Side quests in Witcher 4 are going to be much more complex and they will have a bigger impact on the open world of the game. The approach they have in this regard is again quality over quantity, which is good. No one wants to play 1,000 meaningless side stories, which a lot of open world games go for these days. CDPR's approach with Witcher 4 is to make it more reactive to the choices and the decisions that players make in the side quest of the game. To be honest, they somewhat achieved this with a few quests in Witcher 3. The open world map and side quests in Witcher 3 were meaningful. Usually, in like other open world games, the quests are very linear. You go to the quest giver, you do a certain task, and then you reach the conclusion of that side quest. In Witcher 3, however, you could come across various events throughout the open world which were part of a quest, and you could half complete that side quest without ever starting the quest in the first place. I'm guessing that they will expand upon this approach and make majority of the side quests in Witcher 4 work in a similar manner. Point number 21. The monster hunting contracts and the combat has been reworked in Witcher 4. You could call it the next evolution of the Witcher gameplay style. The players will have more freedom and will have to make more conscious choices to prepare for upcoming battles. This will boost immersion and hook the players deeply into making impactful choices in the game. And finally, fact number 22. The writing of Witcher 4 is a crucial part of the development process. CD Projekt is putting in extra care to make sure that the dialogue choices will be on par with Witcher 3. The choices we make will be impactful and will lead to different outcomes in the story that we are experiencing. They do not want different dialogue options to just be there for the sake of being different. They want them to be different and lead to different consequences. There are also some ideas regarding dialogues that CDPR is working with, but they said it is not yet time to talk about them. And there you have it, 22 new facts that we learned about The Witcher 4. Now before ending the video, I want to mention one more special point. CD Projekt mentioned that this reveal of the cinematic trailer for Witcher 4 was actually not the beginning of their marketing campaign. It was just a reveal so they can start mentioning Witcher 4 instead of Polaris, which was the code name for this game. And most importantly, it was to communicate about what they've been up to. Their marketing will begin sometime in the future, but until then, CDPR has asked fans, and I quote, "Let us cook." So, did this video make you more excited about the game? I certainly have high hopes, and in the coming months, I think my excitement will only go higher as we learn more things about this game. I'm going to cover everything about this game going forward, and if you want to tag along with me, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button on the video, and I will see you next time.